Hi guys, so in this class we'll be drafting a basic blouse bodice, and these are the measurements I'll be using for my pattern. So ensure to write out every pattern you'll be needing also. So the next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my vertical measurements, which are my bust point, my under bust, my half length and my blouse length. And I'll be adding half inch. This half inch is just for sewing allowance. I notice at times we seldom forget to add that sewing allowance when cutting on our fabric. So you can either add it on your pattern or add it when you are cutting on your fabric. So in this tutorial I added it to my pattern. So here is me marking my bust point, my under bust, my half length and my blouse length, and I'll connect it all with a straight line. If you're not going to be adding half inch to your vertical measurement, just go ahead and mark out your exact vertical measurement without any half inch seam allowance, and label it bust point, under bust, half length and blouse length. So the next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my basic neckline, which is my bust divided by 12. Bust divided by 12 will give you your basic neckline, and I'll be marking it vertically and horizontally. That will serve as my basic neckline. I can later on alter this neckline, but for this pattern, this is what I'm using. So calculate your basic neckline and mark it vertically and horizontally. Then use your pattern ruler to connect with a curve, just like I'm doing. After this, we'll divide our back measurement by 2 and place whatever value we have from the beginning of our pattern paper. And before I go further, on my shoulder at the top of my pattern paper, I will come down by 1 inch, which will serve as my shoulder slant. So come down by 1 inch, and after that connect to your basic neckline. Just look at what I'm doing to understand better. Just connect it to your basic neckline. That will serve as our shoulder slant. After this, we will now measure our armhole length, cutting from our basic drafting formulas, which is our bust divided by 8 plus 1.5. Mine is 7 inches, and I'll just mark it. Then I'll connect it with a straight line. At that point where my armhole length stops, I will also measure my back value. Just look at what I'm doing. Then I'll connect the lines together, and this vertical line will serve as my armhole length and the horizontal line will serve as my chest line. Now to get our armhole curve, we are going to divide the armhole length we have on our pattern paper by 2, and we're going to mark the midpoint, and on that midpoint we are coming in by 0.5 inches. After that, you connect the 3 dots together. That means you connect your shoulder from your shoulder slant to that midpoint and down to your chest line, just like I am doing, and that becomes our armhole curve. You can also go in by 0.75 for the front, but I'm very much comfortable with 0.5 inch for the front and for the back. The next thing we want to do is take our basic dart, and to take our basic dart, we're going to measure our nipple to nipple value divided by 2 from our chest line down to our blouse length. Whatever is your nipple to nipple value, just measure it from your bust point. You're measuring from your bust point down to your blouse length. Mine is 3.5, and I'm measuring it straight from my bust point down to my blouse length. So do well to do the same and connect it with a straight line. To get your nipple to nipple value, you can simply measure the person you are drafting for, or use the formula bust divided by 4 minus 1.5. Whatever answer you get, you divide it by 2 and you place on your pattern paper, just like I have done. Then on your waistline, you come in by half of an inch. Under your nipple to nipple line, just go in by half of an inch on both sides. You can go in by 0.75, but I'm okay with half of an inch. Also from your blouse length, you come up by 3 inches and you connect from your bust point down to that half of an inch on the both sides and down to that 3 inches that we came up by, and this now gives us our basic dart. So this is the basic dart we'll be using for these basic bodies. We can now go ahead and place our bust, waist and hip value. To measure our bust value for this basic bodice pattern, we'll be using the formula bust divided by 4 plus 1 for the front and bust divided by 4 minus 1 for the back. This is because we only have our bust at the front of our body. We do not have any bust at the back of our body. So therefore, this is to give room for our bust to sit properly, and this applies to our hip also. Hip divided by 4 minus 1 for the front and plus 1 for the back. This will give room for our hip to sit properly. So here I'm just marking out my bust value plus 1, and I'm marking my waist value, and I'm replacing my 1 inch dart, and I'm marking my hip value, which is hip divided by 4 minus 1. I don't have any bum bum at the front of my body, so it's minus 1. Then at the back it's plus 1, because that's where we have our bum bum. So please take note of this, and after that add your 1.5 inch allowance or 2 inches as you wish, and then connect it all with your pattern ruler just like I'm doing. If you're a very curvy person, your pattern should look more curvy than this, and if you're an average size person like me, your pattern should look similar to what I have. So yes, this is all for our basic blouse bodice. Ensure to label your pattern properly so as not to get confused or mix it up. Now let's go ahead and draft our back bodies. For our back bodies, we'll be having a zipper at the back. So the first thing to do is to measure your zipper allowance. I measured 2 inches here. So do well to measure your 2 inches allowance from the top of your pattern paper to the end of your pattern paper and connect with your pattern ruler. The next thing to do is to measure your basic neckline, which is 3 inches for the width and 1 inch for the depth. 3 inches by 1 inch. This is our basic neckline. You can alter it later on, but this is the basic neckline. 3 by 1 inch for the back. So connect with your pattern ruler and then go ahead and measure your vertical measurements, which are your bust point, your under bust, your half length and your blouse length, and connect with your ruler. Connect horizontally with your pattern ruler. So sorry you're not fully seeing my pattern paper. Just follow what I'm saying and I'm sure you will get it correctly. After this, we'll measure our back value from the line demarcating our zipper allowance, and from there we'll come down by 1 inch, which will serve as our shoulder slant just like we did for the front, and we'll connect with our pattern ruler. Then we'll go ahead and mark our armhole length, and that will serve as our chest line for the back, just the way we did for the front. Bust divided by 8 plus 1.5. Whatever value we get will be the armhole that we'll be working with, just like we did for the front, and so we'll mark them out and connect with our pattern ruler. After this, on our chest line, we'll measure our shoulder or our back value just like we did, and we'll connect it to our shoulder slant so that we can get our armhole curve. And like we did for the front, we'll measure whatever we have as our armhole length, divide it by 2 and come in by 0.5. Then we'll connect the 3 dots together with our pattern ruler, the curved side of our pattern ruler, just like I'm doing. Ensure to use the curved side of your pattern ruler so as to get a nice curve. So yes, this is what we have for our armhole. The next thing we want to do is to measure our nipple to nipple value from our chest line. Remember, for the front we started from our bust point, but for the back we are starting from our chest line, also known as the armhole line, and we are going to measure it down to the blouse length. As we did for the front, we are going to measure on our half length. We are going to measure 0.5 inch on both sides, come up by 3 inches and connect all those lines together. This will serve as our basic dart. Next thing to do is to place our bust, waist and hip value, and like we said earlier, the formula we are using is bust divided by 4 minus 1 for the back, and hip divided by 4 plus 1 at the front. So I'm just placing my value. I have 7.5. I'm placing my initial waist value. I'm replacing my 1 inch dart, and I'm placing my hip value, hip divided by 4 plus 1, because that's where our bum bum is. So hip divided by 4 plus 1 for the back, and I'm just going to connect all of these lines together using my pattern ruler. So sorry you're not seeing what I'm marking. After that, before connecting my lines together, I went ahead to mark my 1.5 inch seam allowance. So whatever you want as your seam allowance, go ahead and add it, then connect your lines together using your pattern ruler. The last thing we want to do is to eliminate our back bulge. Now, to eliminate our back bulge, what we are simply going to do is measure whatever value you want to use as your zipper allowance. I have 2 inches here, but I just need 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance. So I'm just going to measure that 1.5 inch from the top of my pattern paper down to the bottom of my pattern paper, and I'll connect with a straight line. So now, after that, on my half length, I'm going to measure 1 inch. That's me taking out half inch from my zipper allowance, and I'll just connect from that point to the top of my zipper allowance at the neckline, and I'll connect it down to my zipper allowance on my blouse length. So with this half inch that I've taken out, it will help my zipper to relax at the back. If you touch your back, you will notice that you're not straight at the back, you are curved. So taking out half inch would help your zipper to relax properly at the back. This is a very easy method to eliminate back bulge when drafting a basic blouse bodice. So yes, this is what my zipper allowance looks like now. You will see that it's not straight, it's slightly curved at the half length. And that's basically all we have for our basic back bodies. The next thing I want to do is cut out all my excesses. So do well to cut out all of your excesses too. This is a very easy and beginners friendly pattern, and you can achieve any style once you can master this pattern. So this is what the front and the back bodies looks like, and that's basically all for the basic blouse bodies.